Fortnite is literally trolling the entire world, and by the end of this video, you guys should understand exactly what's happening. It's honestly a pretty big deal, and the way Epic is carrying out this situation is just absolute genius. Now, in order to explain this a bit more, we're gonna have to take a quick look back to March 20th, 2018. On this day, players of Fortnite would notice that there's something odd going on in the sky. People saw that there appeared to be a large object floating above the world, and from the looks of it, it seemed like it was a meteor. This meteor appeared out of nowhere, and it made people begin to question what exactly was going on, if it was intentional, and what would happen with it. It was a fairly small thing at the time, and people had no certainty of what would become of it. But as time progressed, this object began to get brighter and brighter, and appeared as if it was getting closer to the ground. As it became more and more obvious that the placement of this thing was not accidental, people began to investigate even further. They began to realize that it was most definitely an object that was falling towards the planet, and it was positioned directly above tilted towers. These are when the conspiracies began to pop up. Was this meteor going to be a special event? Was it going to hit tilted towers? Nobody knew, and Epic did nothing to inform players of what its true purpose was. The ambiguity continued until Epic finally addressed the elephant in the room. With the recently released update at the time, new telescopes would be placed on the map facing directly towards the approaching meteor. After this update, people did begin to realize that this thing was in fact intentional, but no further information on the purpose of the object was provided. It was obvious that something big was planned with this meteor, but nobody knew what, so the mystery continued. At this point, I personally thought that this meteor was just a super cool little Easter egg that would later become something much bigger. I didn't have a clue as to what it would do, but I definitely thought something would happen. Some of my friends began throwing around the idea that this meteor would become part of the map, in a new location, or as an expansion to the edges of the map. I felt as if they were right, but I didn't want to set my opinion in stone, just in case more information was provided about what it was going to become. And that's when something odd began to happen. Some players on console began to notice that their controllers were vibrating in odd patterns in certain parts of the map. The vibrations came in brief bursts, and they were obviously unnatural. A Reddit user noticed these unusual patterns and translated these vibrations into Morse code, and began to write down the message. As he discovered what the vibration spelled, he posted it publicly. The message read, SOS D5 418. SOS meaning save our soul, D5 being the coordinates of tilted towers, and 418 being an unknown variable, but possibly meaning April 18th or April 2018. With the placement of the meteor right above tilted towers and the addition of this new message, the assumption of what would happen was officially made. People now knew that this thing would destroy tilted towers at some point. Why else would there be an SOS signal anyways? Upon the release of the replay camera update, players discovered that this meteor actually has a trail, therefore it's a comet. Also, an object was found underneath the map location of tilted towers, and this item was a peculiar circular shaped item. Nobody knew what it was, but it was directly underneath tilted, which furthered the suspicion that it was going to be destroyed. This item has been removed in patches since the update, so it's assumed that it probably was not supposed to be there. Tilted Towers was basically confirmed to be destroyed at this point, according to some people. But the most recent news about what's going on with the comet has been released a few days ago. With this new update that came out, the comet is even closer to the land. All of the TVs around the map have an emergency alert signal going off, and signs are being placed in tilted towers to hint at the impending destruction. All of these signs quite clearly point out that something big is about to happen, and Tilted seems to be the place that it's going to happen to. But the biggest thing about this update is that there's now something else in the sky. The newest addition is what appears to be a UFO directly next to the comet. With these new signs, people are definitely confident that Tilted Towers will be no more. They also assume that this event will be the start of this Season 4 Battle Pass. The current pass is about to end, so it just makes sense for the Season 4 to start with some sort of major event. But I personally feel as if there's a lot more to this story than just a comet hitting Tilted situation. First of all, I personally feel as if Epic wouldn't do this. Tilted Towers is a favorite location of many players in the game. If you're an action-oriented player, Tilted is the place to go. So why would the developers want to remove the most popular location from their map and make it into something much different? While some people would absolutely love for this to happen, many would hate it, and some would probably even quit playing the game. Secondly, Epic is a great studio, and I don't think that the developers of this game are that basic. These people are geniuses, and they managed to create the most popular game in the world, so I don't think they're going to settle for a predictable and foreseen event. And this is where the trolling comes into play. As more and more players latched onto the idea of Tilted being destroyed, I believe that Epic saw an opportunity to throw people off and get them distracted on one aspect of a master plan. They would lead people to believe that what they assumed to be true was true, and they could work on the rest of the plan without bother. They would create a ton of mystery and hype in order to get the most publicity for their upcoming battle pass. It just makes sense, and that's another reason why I feel as if this is the case. I feel as if the whole Meteor/Comet thing was an elaborate distraction. They knew from the whole time that this was not going to be the final plan, but they'd throw it up early just to get people hyped and distracted and curious about what's going on. They knew people would latch onto the idea, and they continued to push it, with little signs and Easter eggs that pointed to what people believed to be true. And they probably loved every second of it. And like I said, I don't believe Tilted is going to be destroyed. And because of this statement, you may be wondering, Robokast, if you don't think that Tilted is going to be destroyed, even with all of this evidence, what do you think is going to happen? And to answer that question, here's what I think. I personally believe that the comet will in fact hit the ground, but not Tilted Towers in particular. Tilted is way too popular of a location, and there are plenty of other areas that could use some new content. So I think the comet is actually going to barely miss Tilted Towers, maybe cause a little bit of damage, and then land somewhere else on the map. I assume that it's probably going to land somewhere near Loot Lake or some other open area on the map. And the way that Epic has led people to believe that it's going to hit Tilted is the reason that I say they have been trolling the crap out of everyone. But with this assumption that I have, many people have been asking me this question. They're asking, if this comet's already aimed towards Tilted Towers, then how's it suddenly going to miss and change directions? And I feel as if this is where the spaceship that appeared the other day comes into place. The spaceship is obviously part of Epic's master plan, and it's going to come into play somewhere. It's highly likely that this spaceship will in some way affect the path of the comet, maybe knock it into a different location, or at least something like that. But as I'm writing this script right now, there was actually just a new update that came out on the Fortnite Twitter. It's a post that's teasing the up-and-coming Battle Pass Season 4, and from what I can tell in this picture, it appears as if the season is going to become a superhero theme. From this teaser, you can quite clearly see a superhero in the tail of a comet. I feel as if this new information has just answered the entire question of what's been going on in the back of my mind, and I can finally have an assumption that makes sense. The city of Tilted Towers is preparing for an unavoidable doom with the comet that is approaching their city. They send out SOS signals to try to get help from this disaster, which explains the controller vibrations. These SOS signals are the cause of superheroes coming in, and these superheroes will save the city by changing the direction of the comet, which causes it to land somewhere else on the map with minimal damage to Tilted. What will happen after this and where it will land, if it even does land, is still an unanswered question. But it definitely seems as if the next Battle Pass theme is heroes, so that will 100% play a part in what happens in the next few days. Now as for the alien spaceship that was sighted, there are two possibilities in my opinion. First of all, the UFO could actually be the superheroes on their way from a different planet to save Tilted Towers. The distress signals could have been what got them to come, and the spaceship is how they get here. The aliens could somehow have a part in this situation, and they're gonna have to fight with the superheroes that are trying to save the day and destroy their plan. And if the second situation is in fact the case, then the Battle Pass could very well be a heroes versus villains theme, with superheroes saving the planet and aliens trying to destroy it. These are all assumptions of course, and anything could change within the next few days. But the fact is, Epic trolled everyone. They had a brilliant plan to advertise their up-and-coming Battle Pass. This event was a major event, and it caused the game to get even more media attention than normal, with players tuning in frequently to see what will happen next to the comet. Just as people begin to pinpoint their thoughts on what the outcome will be, the developers change it up to attract even more hype and curiosity as to what will happen next. This whole situation is a genius plan, and it's one of the reasons why these developers are great and why the game is so popular. Again, these are all just assumptions, so we're gonna have to wait and watch over the next few days to see what happens next. While yes, technically it has not happened yet, you can mark my words on it. So grab a highlighter, write these words down, and mark them, because it's gonna probably happen. Anyways guys, that is gonna be it for today's video, so I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts on this situation in the comments below. I will see you guys next time, and peace.